This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports Chaco. We're delighted to be joined once again by our good friend, Graham McCormack. How are you, Graham?
Good, bud. Good, thanks. Feeling good.
We were just talking off air about age. You turn 35 next week. I turn 40 in just under a month. So we're sort of reminiscing, and obviously the fact that the both of us don't act our age.
We're getting old, man.
Alco, you're only as old as you feel, and I guess following Man United, probably both feel about 60 at the moment.
That has put years on my life over the last 2 years, man. Support Man United, as it has you.
I think it's got to the stage.
We'll stay strong. We'll stay strong. Ten Hag is going to come in and change it all for us. We'll stay strong.
I think it's got to the stage now where you sort of, it's the way you say support when you win, lose or draw. I think it's got to the stage now where you get fed up. Obviously, when they play bad, it's just like, it's just United. It's just a new age.
It's like an expected thing now, man. It's an expected thing from to play bad, unfortunately. Like, it's like, oh, look, we're playing. Like, we saw up for matches, and now I'm kind of like the last couple of matches, I'm like, oh, we're playing Saturday. I don't even know if I'm going to watch it or not. Like, that kind of way. It's been tough watching them. Like, but look, hopefully next season we'll pick up things,
We just seem to have momentarily lost you there a wee bit. We obviously have you in the gym today, so it's obviously sometimes it might not be good spots for sort of. I know when we had Jamie Morrissey on the other week, he took us for a tour of Limerick, but the sun was shining that day. The sun was shining in Limerick that day. It's probably not shining so much in Limerick today.
It's shining, but it's cold.
Particularly when you're going training as well. It's probably coming up 5 months since we obviously last spoke. We obviously spoke the fight week, and obviously you're fighting Paul Keane for obviously the BUA Celtic title. I guess you had probably more time than anything now to sort of analyse and everything else. I guess sometimes would you go and watch the fight back to sort of learn from anything, or how have you sort of come to terms with your first pro fight?
Yeah, look, I watched it back, you know what I mean? And like, first thing I'll say is like, I had said it to you immediately, and Cian McGuire, I think it was the next day we were talking through messages, and I said, look, the better man got the win on the night. I'm not a sore loser. I'm not, one of these guys, I got to win. The better man got the win on the night, but it was obviously a lot closer than the judge had given it, as everybody knows. But I feel like I've learned a lot from that fight. I can take a lot of positives away from it. I was absolutely gutted to lose. Like, it was hard. It was harsh to take the loss. You know what I mean? But I took the loss against a good fighter in a good fight. On a good platform. So like, there was some good positives to take away from it. I feel like if I had started quicker, I didn't kind of get going till round 3. Was when I kind of woke up and started to push the pressure on him. Like, and I felt like if I had done that from the get-go, I might have had a lot more success. But look, we live and we learn, and I feel like I'm going to take that on into my next few fights.
We're having a wee bit of a difficulty with your picture. We're sort of getting a freeze frame a wee bit sometimes, and there it's coming back when we speak about it. I guess when you sort of, probably being totally honest, you probably maybe say that probably it was maybe too early. Sort of, you'd only one fight in 27 months. Did it probably show maybe a wee bit in the ring that sort of you'd lost a wee bit of timing and things like that? Is that probably why it took you a few rounds to sort of get going?
Yeah, like, I suppose, but there's never a right time in boxing like that. Like, if I had said no to that fight, like, what opportunities would I have gotten after that? Like, it was an opportunity that I couldn't say no to. Like, like, I want to be known as one of them fighters that took the right opportunities and took the risky fights. And major risk, but also a major reward. Like, there was a big reward in that fight. Like, yeah, it was a big risk, but it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to be one of those boxers that are in it just to protect my record or anything like that. I want to be remembered for being in good, entertaining fights. And I feel like that last fight, it was a good, entertaining fight. It was a good fight to watch. Could I have got another fight in between? Maybe, but then I would have missed that opportunity, man. And that opportunity would have been gone. I enjoyed the fight, it was a good fight, and I got in against a good fighter. So like, now we build on from that, and we kick on again now in 5 weeks, and we get back into more big fights. That's what I want, man. I want big fights. But like, we're going to take the right fights at the right time. I'm not going to take stupid fights against against fights that you have no chance of, no chance at all of winning. Like, I fully believed that I was going to beat Paul Keane in Scotland a couple of months ago. I didn't doubt it for a second. When I was offered the fight, I had an injury in my rotator cuff. I had a toe rotator cuff going into the Jordan Latimer fight, but I wasn't going to pull out of the fight. You know what I mean? So when I got offered the fight, I think my manager rang me on a Saturday. And I said, look, give me a couple of days. I got to talk to my physio. And if he says he can fix it, then yeah, we'll take the fight. So like, I was injured when I got to phone over the fight, but thankfully to my physio, Craig Redden, he had me saying, look, I'll have you perfect. So I went into the Paul Keane fight 100% fit, 100% ready, but like, these are the fights you want. You can't pass up these opportunities, man, because let's say if I had said no, like, what would I have done? Beaten the journeyman or what would I have done for the rest of the year? That's not who I am. That's not what I'm in boxing for, like, I'm in boxing to be remembered for being in big, entertaining fights, and that's what I want going forward, like,
I guess obviously, like, we've obviously had you on quite a few times. You're probably one of our most popular sort of guests we've on. You're always wanting to have a chat, and you get good views and everything else. But I guess what you've been through in life and everything else, you take these opportunities when you can get them and go, well, what if I lose? I'm not going to say I was robbed by the judges or things went wrong. You're just stone cold honest as it needs to be in boxing sometimes, and it's probably a blessing in a way, at the fact that you can come out and go, what, I was beat by the better man. I took my opportunity. I thought I was going to win. It didn't come through, but I still lived to fight another day.
That's what life, I think, me personally, that's what life is about, man. I wouldn't be in the position I'm in today if I didn't take risks a couple of years ago. And today I have a lot of good things in my life today because I was willing to take risks a couple of years ago. And now in my boxing career, I'm going to do the very same. I'm going to continue to take risks and continue to try and challenge myself and be successful. You know what I mean? And my son is looking at that now, saying my father is challenging himself, and he's already in the gym sparring and stuff. Like, I'm like, that's what I'm doing. For me, like, I'm leaving a path for my boys to follow, you know what I mean? To challenge themselves and to always push past negativity and push past people telling you can't do something. But when you believe in yourself that you can do something, you can do it. You know what I mean? And like, when I actually got out of the ring, lots of people were saying like, "Oh, you were robbed." And I got a few messages, and I was robbed. Like, I said it straight away. Like, I was not robbed. Like, there was no robbery whatsoever. Like, I was beaten by the better man. He beat me. In my head, I watched it back, and I scored it 5-3. I gave him 5 rounds, and I gave myself 3 rounds. That's how I scored it, and that's how I thought the fight went. So like, would I love to do it again with Paul Keane? 100%. I think I have the beatings of him. Is it going to happen? Probably not. And I'm not going to spend the rest of my career chasing a fight that might never come. I wish him the best. He's actually a nice guy. We got chatting after the fight. He has a big fight coming up. It was great to share a ring with him. But now I move on and he moves on, and that's boxing. That's life. You got to take your wins and your losses. If you're not willing to take a loss in life and challenge yourself from it and bounce back from it, then you're never going to be successful no matter what you do, like, And I feel like me, myself, I'm already a success in life with everything that I've done and come from and what I achieve on a daily basis. Boxing is a bonus to me, man, and I want to be as successful as I possibly can. Who knows where I'm going to end up with it? Only God knows that, but I will keep challenging myself, Steve. Like, I'm not spending 3 times in the gym every day, away from my wife, away from my kids, cutting weight, putting my body through pressure. I'm older now. Like, I'm not doing that to just have shit fights. You know what I mean? I'm just not, like, I'm doing it to challenge myself and so when I do finish up with my boxing career, that I can look back and go, all right, I gave it a go. It is what it is. I look at fighters like Gabe Rosado. You know what I mean? The guy has 10 and 11 losses, like, but he's still fighting at top tier level, top tier opposition. Like, I'm willing to do that. And I'm willing to fight. I'm not comparing myself to Gabe Rosado. What I'm saying is, like, if I take a loss or two along the way, so be it. I'm willing to challenge myself and fight anyone that's, if I'm given an opportunity and it makes sense, then yeah, why not? Like, let's fucking have it, like,
Exactly. Did it sort of, I guess, in some ways, obviously your defeat and obviously your kids, I think was any of your kids over in Scotland for the fight?
Dylan was gutted. He was crying when we went to, when they raised his hand, when they raised his hand, not mine, I went over to the corner. Dylan was crying, like, because he'd never seen me lose. He didn't know what to think, but like, it is what it is. He also learns with me there, like that. Losses happen in life. You know what I mean? And this is learning for my kids too, like that. We have to experience losses, in life. Do you know what I'm saying? The boys are trying to scare each other here.
John looks like he's been doing a bit of training, has he?
Sean, have you been doing training? Yeah.
Just finished there,
Yeah.
Jamie's
He's
looking
doing a bit
cool
of a
as
pump.
always.
Yeah.
What's happening, Jamie? But I guess it's good for you in the fact that you can turn, where you've turned your life around. You've obviously had a defeat in boxing, and obviously Dylan coming through, and obviously enjoying boxing and things like that, and seeing that you suffer defeat, but it doesn't change the person you are. Is a vital life lesson that he can learn early on that can probably help him if he decides he wants to be a boxer.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And like boxing can be such a letdown of a sport, amateur or pro, man. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough game to be involved in. You're involved in, man. Like you see it, whether you're an amateur boxer or a professional boxer, it's such a tough game to be involved in, man. For kids, for adults, no matter what age you are, it's tough mentally more than anything, So, I think, I took a lot from it mentally. I took a lot from it, as a boxer. I feel like I have become better since that fight, in sparring here and in the gym and on the pads and stuff. There's stuff that I should have done in the fight that I didn't do that I'm going to do in my next couple of fights. You know what I mean? So look, it was a massive learning curve, man. And we built on from it. And look, as long as I have left in my career, who knows? But I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna challenge myself as much as I possibly can, while I can.
And 5 weeks today, my year will be getting burnt in Belfast. Obviously, you're just about to weigh in Belfast. You're fighting in 5 weeks' time at the Europe Hotel, 14th of May. Your first time, obviously, fighting in Belfast, but you've been here, obviously, many times. It's pretty much just like it is in Limerick. Obviously, hard-working people love their boxing. I'm sure you're looking forward to, obviously, you've boxed in a few different venues in the south, obviously, as a pro. You boxed in Scotland a couple of times. You're probably now doing like a Graham McCormack G-Train like tour. You're doing the G-Train tour.
Right around.
You're taking the train on different journeys.
I'm looking forward to it. I like Belfast. I actually boxed up there as an amateur years ago. And it was a great night. It was a great night of fights. I'm looking forward to going up there, man. Big thanks to my manager Ian Cochran. He, like, in fairness to the man, like, he is always working on the clock for me. Like, whenever, like, I actually got offered a fight. I'm not going to say against who, but I got offered a big fight early on in the year. I just wasn't in camp. I wasn't in shape. My manager rang me and said, look, we got offered a fight and glad you wanted. I said, look, I'm nowhere near shape. I'm really heavy and, no point in taking it. Like, but, I have a very, very good manager and I'm grateful for that. He got me on this show. I want to say a big thanks to Mark Dunlap for having me on the show. He seems like a really nice guy. I've sent a couple of messages back and forth with him, so I'm grateful to the two lads for getting me on the show. But I'm really looking forward to going up. I'm bringing up a good few with me as well. And I really like Belfast, man. I've been up there a couple of times. My brother-in-law actually lives up there. My wife's brother, Jake, lives up there. So I'm looking forward to going up there, spend a couple of days up there and getting a good win up there, and going and getting some grub afterwards. So some nice food up in Belfast, man.
Some nice food. That's what you're thinking of, the food more than anything else. But you're at the moment on Box Record, obviously, he's scheduled to fight Seamus Devlin. Now, Seamus obviously has 4 fights between here and obviously your fight. So I guess obviously you're probably looking at Box Record and seeing how he's got on and making sure he hasn't been stopped. But you're long enough in the test now in boxing, they know that opponent could probably change 2 or 3 times between now and 5 weeks time. So it's sort of just a case for you of getting a takeover win and probably looking for big fights again.
That's it, man. But you know what I will say, Steve, like, I won't be taking any chances. Like, journeymen cause upsets. You know what I mean? You know this, I know that, Sean knows that, there's like, and especially like on small hall shows, man, it happens a lot more frequently than on big shows because, they go for it. You know what I mean? So like, I won't be taking any chances. I will be putting everything into training camp. And I think a couple people ask me like, oh, is this just a handy fight? There is no handy fights in professional boxing, man. There is no handy fights because every fight can be dangerous, man. And I'd be a fool to think any different. And I'm not gonna think any different for a second. This fight is just as important as the last because if I lose again against a journeyman, where do I go from there? What do I do from there? Like, you know what I mean? So I won't be leaving anything to chance. I'll be going in there in my head 4 rounds of nothing but war. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I do. And that's what I'm going to do in Belfast. It's going to be an exciting fight no matter who I get in there with.
And I know you're not sort of want to look too far ahead, but probably, you've obviously fought in a couple of Sam Kinnock shows now in Scotland. Is Sam looking to get you back over again? Obviously, once you get a win and get you another good fight.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of good big fights over with Sam Kinnock for me as well. There's a couple of there's big fights around, you know, like there's interesting fights that are 50-50 winnable fights, you know, meaningful fights, you know what I mean? And there's a couple of fights here as well. Like there's obviously the Craig McCarthy fight, man. I'm not going to do an interview and not mention it. Like that's a big fight that has been mentioned a couple of times. It's a good domestic fight, and it's a good Limerick versus Waterford fight. And I know he's injured now at the minute, and he lost his last fight, but like that's a good fight down the line. Me versus Craig McCarthy. That's a fight that really interests me. You know, there is big fights for me in Scotland as well, and Sam Kinnock is a really nice guy, and we've worked well with him, and I've no doubt I'll be back over there in big fights as well. But you know, there's a couple of big fights there for me, Steve, like that we have already sent the feelers out about and got good positive things back. So like they're quite all going well this year. I will be in some good entertaining big fights.
And I guess obviously as you turn 35 next week, obviously, you know, players are recovery and things to get from fights. Obviously after May, probably ideally maybe one, maybe two more this year.
I'll be staying as active as I can, Steve. You know, like again, big shout to the manager. Like he was on to me last week. He said, "Look, are you going to take a break? Like there's no breaks now, like till next December." Like I took a nice break after the last fight. I had planned on taking a break anyway because with the baby being born last year, I was in camp nearly all year last year. I didn't really get to spend time at home with the wife and kids. So whether I won or lost the Paul Keane fight, I was going to take a bit of time off anyway. So now what I said to Ian today was like I'll stay in camp all year now, like until December again. So I'll get as many fights as I can, but I like 3, 4, 5. You know, I'm fit, I'm healthy. You know what I mean? I know I put on a bit of weight, like, but I'm always fit. You know, the weight's coming down. You know, I'm not too far off my fighting weight now. You know, so like, I'd be good to go again, like a couple of weeks after, man. If I'm being honest, like, you know, so like we'll see what pops up. We've had word that there could be 1 or 2 fights in after that. So I'm actually going on holiday in August with the wife and kids. So if I get another one before August, I'll be very happy. You know, I'm hoping stays busy as I can. Yeah, so like she just booked it last week and it's going like we're going on holiday and that's that. Like I was like, all right, no worries. But like I'm the kind of guy, Steve, like I'll train on holiday, you know, there'll be no panic. Like if I had a fight before it and if there was a fight, let's say in September, I'd just go on holiday and I'd train while I'm over it, you know, there'll be no hassle, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess obviously having so many kids, you probably need a minibus as well to take you on holidays.
I need my own plane to go on holidays, but
have you got your pilot's license?
My own plane.
Have you got your pilot's license? It'll make it easier.
We should fucking get one, man. Buy a plane to bring all these kids places. And my kids then I don't have normal kids. Like people, you know, I see people on the street with normal kids. My kids are all mental bastards. Like they're not normal. Like my young fella's one of them fellas that would run up and, you know, the kids you see running up and down the aisles in the airplanes. He's one of them, like kicking everyone's seats and throwing things at people. Like that's my kids all out, man. They're mad. Like their father. Yeah, like their father.
They're just like their father. They just like to laugh and a joke. Like you can imagine a plane, you and Jamie Morrissey in a plane. You know, Jamie would need the roof cut off so he could.
Morrissey's like the Mr. T of Limerick. He just keeps shouting, "I ain't getting an old plane." He doesn't like planes. You know, Morrissey.
He would need the top cut off the plane so he could sit down. He's that tall.
Yeah, he's too tall for planes.
Definitely.
Hopefully he'll have fight now soon as well. So looking forward to seeing Jamie getting back in the ring soon as well, you know. Like the gym is really buzzing on here at the minute, like, you know what I mean? Myself and Jeremy and Edward and Jason, you know, Paddy's obviously out for a while, but he'll be back soon. You know, the gym is buzzing, man.
It's, I guess, obviously, in some ways, you know, Jamie's obviously someone like you there to help in the gym. Obviously, he just said he was supposed to fight last weekend, and obviously the card was pulled. Obviously, you having that sort of father figure approach where you've had fights cancelled in the past and things just go, you know what, just forget about it. And Jamie's Paul.
Jamie's a good guy mentally. You know what I mean? He's strong mentally. He's able to handle it. But like, you know, he's like myself. He wants to fight good fights. He wants, you know, he's willing to fight anybody. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm looking forward to him getting back in there. But he handled it well, man. Do you know, like, and I think he had a couple of cancellations. You had 2 or 3 cancellations, did you, Jamie? You had 2. Like, he had 2 or 3 cancellations in a row. Like, you know yourself, man. It's fucking hard to deal with that stuff, man. Do you know? When you're in camp and people buying tickets off you on book, you know, it's hard, man. You know, and then you have to tell everyone, and you actually feel as a fighter that you've let people down, but you haven't, like, you know what I mean? It's not, it's out of your hands, like, you know. But he handled it well, man, and he's still stuck in the gym. He's still training, so, you know, hopefully, he'll be out soon. It's looking like he'll be out soon, but I'll let him tell you that himself.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll send us a wee message whenever the time's right to let us know when he's fight news, because he's like you. He's always going, let's get an interview, let's have a laugh and a joke. You know,
that's
what it's about in boxing sometimes, because people build in your personality. You know, to say sometimes when there's someone on for an interview, the next time along they've less views, whereas your views seem to go more because people know that you're as mad
Because
as a
we're
frog.
Limerick people, man. We're mates. We're
Yeah.
just, you know, we just don't give a fuck down here, man. I mean that in a nice way. Like, we don't care what people say about us or people think about us. We know who we are down here, man. You know what I mean? We're real as we can be, man. You know, me, Jamie, Sean, all of us, you know, we don't try and be fake or pretend or anything like that, man. We just try and be as real as we can be. And I think that's what you need to do in life, man, is just be as real as you can be as honest as you can be, and do the right things, man, you know, and the right things will happen for you, you know?
Definitely is. I know obviously you're training now in a couple of minutes. Obviously I wanted to keep it tight in time because I know in 5 weeks time, Sean will be chasing me around the Europa Hotel saying that I kept you late for a session. I'm too streetwise in this game now. I know that.
Listen, you have it mapped down, you know. You have it mapped.
I do. But obviously, I want to thank you once again, obviously, for coming on and having a chat with us, particularly just before you're having the training session. Obviously, I'm on the countdown now. We're both going to be a year older by the time we see each other again. I think the last time we spoke.
Don't tell me. I might just tell everyone I'm 34 and fuck 35.
I'll say I'm 34 too. But look, it's obviously been a pleasure having a catch up again. It's good to start the weekend with a smile, and obviously every time we have a chat with you, it's hard not to smile. But obviously,
appreciate it, boy.
I hope these next couple of weeks go well for you in camp, and in 5 weeks' time, we'll see you in Belfast when you get back to Winning Ways.
For sure, bud. Thank you very much, Dave.
All right, Graham. Cheers. Take care.
Take care, bud. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.